If I hadn't gotten that call from my boss, I wouldn't be here today. I wasn't expecting that. I don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting that. Hi guys, welcome or welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. It is so greatly appreciated. It truly, truly is. Before I start, I've been getting a lot of love from you guys in the comments, and I want you to know I really, really appreciate it. When I write you back and I tell you I mean that from my heart. I truly, truly do. You guys are so wonderful, and I thank you so much. If I don't get back to you right away, I will try my best to get back. Sometimes I don't get back to people for like 2 or 3 months. I happen to come. I really do try to get back to as many people as I can, I swear. But I really appreciate it. And just know, even if I don't get back to you, it doesn't necessarily mean I didn't see it. Okay. We are going down the Reddit rabbit hole today with another story time. I have not read this story time. I'm going to be blind reacting to it right now with you guys for the very first time. I met a potential serial killer in his home for work. I met who I believe to be a potential serial killer in his home while working when I lived in Virginia. And the only reason I'm sure he didn't kill me was because I lied and told him my boss knew my exact location, when truthfully, my boss would not have noticed I was missing for 24 hours. This is a long one, bear with me. 2 years ago, I was working for a company as a person who measures houses. Most people haven't heard of it. It's where you essentially have an iPad, you go to people's homes and draw up floor plans and measure rooms for carpet, hardwood flooring projects. Anyone can request one. I was 25 female at the time, one of the few females that worked this position. I was actually really good at the job, so they gave me a lot of work, and I usually hit between 10 to 14 houses a day, driving all over multiple towns. This house was my last house of the day, in the middle of nowhere, and I was exhausted. When I got there, I was incredibly annoyed because the customer wasn't home and was late for his appointment. 10 minutes later, he pulls up next to my car. He was a middle-aged man, balding, wearing a normal office job attire with a tie and everything. He seemed a bit awkward but was apologetic and let me into his home. Upon entering, the house was unbelievably spotless and organized, minimal furniture, and smelled like cleaning supplies. It didn't strike me as odd at first. He did have 2 cats lounging in the living room. He first started acting weird as I was directed to the first bedroom. He mentioned, "Wow, my cats love you. They don't like strangers like this usually." But his cats literally didn't move or come near me the whole time. I just nodded and smiled while I got to work scaling out the master bedroom on my iPad. He started inquiring about the electronics I was using. An iPad? "Do you keep track of where you are on that thing?" Immediate red flag. "Yes, and my boss knows how long each job should take based on the scope of work. It's incredible technology." I lied without missing a beat. He agreed that it was amazing. "Be careful, don't touch the gun on my nightstand. It might go off," he chuckled. Talk about immediate spine chill. I looked up from my iPad, and sure enough, there was a handgun on the nightstand. I knew instantly that I needed to behave like nothing that was happening was triggering the alarms for me. He directed me to the second bedroom, and he said the exact same thing, warning me of a GUN on the nightstand that indeed was there. This was the moment I knew I was in danger. Oh my God. At first I thought it was just my anxiety around guns, but at this point, the tension building between us was undeniable. There were only 2 bedrooms on the scope of work. I hastily met up with him. I'm in the kitchen and began running down the next steps, but he interrupted me. Could you measure the basement stairs? I forgot to add them to the list, and I think I might want to carpet them in the future. My heart dropped, but my stupid customer service conditioned brain could not figure out how to get away with saying no. He led me to the basement door, and you guys, there was no way he was planning on doing anything with these stairs. They were plank wooden stairs, L-shaped, going down, leading to an unfinished basement. Unfortunately, in order to get an accurate measure, I had to walk all the way down them to the basement. Meanwhile, he stood blocking the doorway with a smile on his face, mentioning again about whether or not my boss knew where I was, to which I shortly replied, yes. Once I got to the basement, I scanned the room quickly. There was not one, but 7 deep freezers lining the walls. In the middle of the room was a light. In the middle of the room was a low-lit hanging ceiling light, revealing an old television set, VHS tapes scattered on the floor, and an old recliner facing the TV. Behind the set, 2 white shelves full of VHS tapes. In this moment, I knew one of 2 things was going to happen. He was either going to let me go, or he was going to push me down the stairs. I held my breath, put a smile on my face in an attempt to act my way out of this situation, and began to climb the stairs. All I could hear was my heartbeat in my ears. He was still blocking the door, no smile this time. As I got to about the 5th stair from the top, I felt him hesitate, which made me hesitate as well. You could cut the tension with a knife, and I finally understood that expression. To my absolute shock and relief, after 4 seconds, he stepped aside. I made a beeline towards the front door, not saying a word, when he stopped me again, saying, "Oh, before you go, won't you give my cats a treat? They loved you so much." He was holding a bag of cat treats. I quickly gave his cats a treat, thanked him, and practically ran out of the house, and definitely ran to my car. The second I got out of his driveway, I had the most intense panic attack and cried. I tried to call my boss, but I was in a dead zone. Oh my God. The truth of the matter is that my boss would not have noticed I was missing for at least 24 hours when I didn't route my day the next work day. Yes, he would have eventually been caught as it was my last known location, but I would have been long dead. I suffered PTSD over this whole experience. I couldn't sleep for a week. I was petrified to work my job, but had no choice. This day still haunts me. This day may haunt me. I have news for you. The worst part, I was so fucked up, jumbled, and in denial over the experience, I forgot to write down his address. Once I finally did get a hold of my boss, she mostly laughed off the situation as him being some weirdo. Nonetheless, she did tell me she would flag him so that I specifically would not be resent out to his house if there was a need for a remeasure. At the time, I felt like that was all that was going to be done, so I didn't write down the address before it disappeared on my iPad because I felt I didn't need to or didn't really think to. But you probably should have, just in case, somebody hits the news. A couple months later, I did try to find the information because I started feeling like maybe I should inform the police. But no matter who I called, since I was not sure of the exact day, I could not get the info. Additionally, I was working 40 hours a week, hitting 10 to 14 houses a day. No way could I look at my history to find the address after a couple months. For what it's worth, once I was out of the dead zone, I called my boyfriend and immediately went to his house for comfort. He witnessed the immediate aftermath. All my friends have known this experience, and I was encouraged to write it here after a recent conversation about it. Thanks for reading, and thank you to everyone for your kind words of encouragement. I wish I could respond to all of you. I don't think that you're lying about this. I do think that you probably should have recorded that address. I don't think that you're lying, and I'm just incredibly happy that you're okay. My stalker tried to kill my girlfriend. I had blocked this story from my memory until my girlfriend reminded me of it a couple days ago. I started dating my girlfriend at the end of my senior year, and before we started dating, I used multiple dating apps. In many of my dating ad profiles, I had my Snapchat listed so that people could add me. This is important. Nothing led to anything with the dating apps. I talked to a few people for a bit, and eventually the conversation would die out. When I began dating my girlfriend, I had deleted the apps, but never deleted my account, meaning people could still see my profile and my Snapchat in it. I realized this after a few people would add me, but it didn't go anywhere because I told them I had a girlfriend. As you would imagine, the conversation would end there. But there was this one guy that added me. Let's call him Adam. And he asked me if I was available. Being straight, I was used to guys adding me, so I gave him the usual response. Sorry, I'm straight and I have a girlfriend. I expected him to leave me alone, but he didn't. At first, the messages were normal. How was your day? What did you do today? Simple stuff like that. Being the nice guy I am, I responded because I thought this guy just wanted to be friends and having a gay friend is okay with me. Then the messages progressively got more creepy. He started asking questions about my girlfriend, and not the basic questions. Questions like, do you guys have sex a lot? Or does she like, or does she think you're good in bed? I simply responded with, those are kind of personal questions, and I don't feel like it's right for me to share my dating business. Adam would always apologize and not talk to me for a few days. Then he would hit me up again and ask creepy questions again. I eventually told my girlfriend about the situation, and for those who don't know, my girlfriend is super sweet, but she is also very aggressively protective over me. So she added this guy and basically tells him that he needs to leave me alone. Unfortunately, this enraged Adam, who responded with saying that I need to dump this bitch now because she's a see you next Tuesday. Naturally, I defend my girlfriend and block Adam. Everything was cool for a week until another account added me. This guy's name was Tyler, and he was super chill. He was super nice to me and respected my relationship with my girlfriend. As the days go by, I start to notice that Tyler's vocabulary was very similar to Adam's. I wasn't sure about it, so I didn't make any assumptions that it was him. I gave Tyler's snap to my girlfriend, who adds him to investigate. As soon as she adds Tyler's snap, Tyler flips out on her, which confirmed that it was Adam. As soon as this realization was made, I block him again. From here, everything goes quiet with Adam for about a month. So, I live in the suburbs of Chicago, and both my girlfriend and I live down the street from each other. Naturally, we do see each other a lot, and both of our families are really good friends. On top of that, our families would also house sit or pet sit for each other. Anyway, a month goes by, and I get a letter with no address or name on it. Just my name on the front. I open it, and to my shock and horror, it's basically a love letter from Adam, which in other words means he knows where you live. The premise of the letter was basically him saying that he loves me and he wants me to run off with him. The letter also takes a very sexual turn halfway through, with him describing what he wants me to do to him and him to do to me. At this moment, two horrifying realizations hit me. One is that he knows my address, and two, he dropped that letter off himself, meaning that he is in my town. I immediately call my girlfriend, who is equally as shocked as I am. After consulting with my parents, we call the cops. Unfortunately, since I had blocked as well as removed Adam's social media information and the letter had no return address, there was nothing they could do about it. Day after day, letters would keep appearing in my mailbox. until they also start until they also started appearing in my girlfriend's mailbox as well. Her letters were far worse than mine. Adam wrote how much he hated her and how much he wanted to hurt her. He also stated many times the ways he would inflict pain onto her until she broke up with me. Like me, she took this to the cops, and again, they couldn't do anything. My girlfriend's family had plans to go to Hawaii for a vacation, and I was to house sit for them. The first couple of days went fine, until around one of the last nights of the week. As per usual, I was over at their house watching TV on the couch when the power went out. Mind you, it's around 1 o'clock in the morning, and it's pitch black when those lights go out. The next few seconds were silent when I heard a window smash from the office. To understand this more, let me give you a layout of the house. When you enter the front door, to your left is the living room. Straight ahead is both the kitchen and the stairs, and to the right was the office and dining room. On the upstairs level, as soon as you reach the top of the stairs, a bathroom was straight ahead, and my girlfriend's bedroom was on the right, and the other bedrooms were on the left. Immediately, I shot up, grabbed a kitchen knife, and ran upstairs to hide while I called the cops. I quickly got into my girlfriend's room and slipped into the closet. As soon as I was able to contact the operator, I heard the pounding of the intruder running up the steps. Oh my God. Oh my God. Thankfully, I had relayed all the information to the operator in time, who then stayed on the phone as we both remained quiet. The intruder took a left when he reached the top of the stairs, which gave more time for the cops to arrive and for me to get ready just in case I needed to defend myself. A few minutes go by until I heard the intruder start walking toward my girlfriend's room. In the only few precious seconds I had, I slipped out of the closet and positioned myself next to the door. As soon as he opened the door and started to enter the room, I took the kitchen knife and drove it into his shoulder. A young man screamed in pain as I heard a heavy metallic object make a large thud as it hit the ground. From there, I bolted out of the house, where I was met by 4 squad cars and cops with their guns raised. I threw my hands up, shouting that he was upstairs in the right room. A few minutes go by. When the intruder's dragged out, still screaming in pain. The siren lights flooding the street, I got a glimpse of his face. It was Adam. And I was informed later by an officer that metallic thud that was made. Oh my God. I was informed later by an officer that metallic thud was made by him dropping his handgun. Adam was from Texas and had traveled up to my state to be with me. He had rented a room at a local motel. Oh my God. I don't know what to say. Oh my God. Adam was from Texas and he had traveled up to my state to be with me. He had rented a room in a local motel and would put letters in both my girlfriend and my mailbox daily. He would do this in the early hours of the morning, which was confirmed by the security footage of the motel he was staying at. That night, Adam had plans to kill my girlfriend and her family, so I would choose to be with him. He managed to pry open the power box, switch off the power to her house, along with neighboring houses, and broke in with the intent of her being there. Well, unfortunately for him, she was enjoying a tropical vacation. To be honest, I have no idea how this outcome would be different if they had not gone on vacation. And I am grateful that I still have my girlfriend as well as her family alive. So, Adam, please stay the fuck away from me and my girlfriend. Holy shit. Holy shit. That is terrifying. That is fucking terrifying. Thank God you're all okay. I was on someone's kill list. After high school, many years ago, I was in a bad place. My guardian had kicked me out after graduation. She didn't help me find a place to stay, so I lived in my car for a couple months. I met some heavy metal dudes at work one day. I'd seen them around town, and all my other friends knew who they were. Everyone loved them. We became friends over a couple months, and they offered for me to move in with them. I agreed. Looking back now, I wish I had just stayed in my car. My two main roommates were brothers named Andrew and Seth. They were in a band. They also believed in the occult and anything of that sort. I never really believed in that stuff, but I'm not one to tell someone what they should believe in. They had let me live with them rent-free for several months, so who was I to complain? Being the only female in a house full of young men, I was always looking over my shoulder. You never know who you can trust. Turns out I was right to worry. Jesus Christ. Over time, their friends started to stay with us for longer periods of time, sometimes weeks. Their friends were another group of brothers they had gone to school with. There were 5 brothers in total, but only 2 stayed with us consistently. The younger brother, Mark, was very polite. He cleaned up after himself and always helped with the household chores. The other brother, Adam, had a laundry list of mental problems. He had apparently done some bad drugs back in the day, and it had developed into what seemed like psychosis of the religious sort. He had done some time in prison for sorry. He he had done some time in prison for assaulting a woman with a Bible. Oh, he had done some time in prison for assaulting a woman with a Bible. He would often look you in the eye and tell you he could see how you would die. Once he told me that I was possessed by a demon and I needed my soul cleansed. Everyone in the house knew he had these problems, but he was their friend. They helped him through the hard times and gave him a place to stay. Otherwise, he would be on the streets. I was always on guard around him after the things he told me. No one else seemed to be as concerned as I was. They should have been. One day, I was sleeping and my phone rang. It was my boss. He asked if I could come into work an hour early. It was only 12 p.m. I was broke and had nothing better to do, so I said yes. I got up and began getting ready to leave. I walked out into the living room to see Mark and Andrew sitting on the couch, while Adam sat on the floor by the TV. He was watching scripture videos on YouTube. Some real end of days shit. That was fairly common, so I went about my business. I said goodbye and left for work. My shift at work was almost complete when the phone rang. My boss answered, handed me the phone, and said, "For you." I was just a cashier, so I assumed it was a friend that couldn't reach me on my phone. I answered the phone and heard a man's voice that I didn't recognize. "Hi, this is Detective Williams. Something happened at your apartment today, and we need you to come to the station to talk about it." I left work immediately. I assumed one of the brothers had been arrested for dealing or something. I was very wrong. I got to the station and was buzzed in. An officer escorted me to a small cold room with a camera. He gave me a bottle of water and left me by myself for about 30 minutes. My mind was racing, thinking about what could have happened. He came back in and informed me that Adam had, oh my God. He came back in and informed me that Adam had killed Andrew at around 1 p.m. I was shocked. I had just left the house an hour before it happened, and everything seemed fine. I asked if there had been a fight. The detective informed me that there hadn't been a fight, and it seemed to have happened out of nowhere. I gave my statement to the police and left with nowhere to go, still in shock and confused out of my mind. Our apartment was a crime scene, so I went to another friend's house to watch the news report, since the police wouldn't give me any information on the case. Over the next couple days, the information began to be released. Adam hadn't just stabbed Andrew once, not twice, but he stabbed him over and over and nearly decapitated him. Oh my God. After the unaliving, he ran down the road, still holding. He called 911 and informed them what he had done. I watched the news report in horror. We had known he was unstable, but this? He had fully confessed to the whole thing and provided police with his notebooks. He had apparently been planning to unalive all of his brothers, my roommates, and me. He thought we were possessed by demons, and this was the only way to free us. Luckily, none of his other intended victims were there that day. Mark unfortunately witnessed it, but he luckily escaped. If I hadn't gotten that call from my boss, I wouldn't be here today. I wasn't expecting that. I don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting that. Oh my God. Okay, last one, and we're keeping with the theme here. Online fan turned stalker. For context, I, female 20, started an OF account over the summer to support myself through school, and things were great until I posted my Amazon wish list. Amazon doesn't release your address to people who gift you items, but third-party sellers can, and that's where I went wrong. By the way, not trying to promote it here. This is a very frightening story, and I felt like it should be shared. In late July, I got a puppy. One night around 2 a.m., I took him outside to go to the bathroom. While he was doing his business, I noticed a car parked outside my family home. I saw a figure in the car and could tell they were looking at me, but I couldn't make out their face because it was pitch black outside. Feeling a bit uneasy, I picked up my puppy to take him back inside, and when I started to move, the car parked in my driveway. I sprinted back inside and locked the door, but they never approached my house. The next morning, I went to check the mail. There was an envelope addressed to my OF name with $20 in it, but no note. I was currently still at my home with my parents, who had no idea about my OF account, so I didn't mention it to them. A week later, I moved back to my college town to get ready to start school. At this time, I had stopped posting for the time being until I could figure out how they got my address. I've watched enough crime shows to know there's a possibility I could be in danger. I live in a duplex with a gated parking lot for reference. One morning, I was planning on vlogging my trip to Target because I was planning on starting a YouTube channel in the near future since OF felt unsafe. When I got to my car, it had been ransacked and my vlogging camera was missing. I know it's my fault for leaving it in my car, but I was using it the night before, and since I live in a gated area, I didn't think it would be unsafe. It wasn't in plain sight either. I had hidden it in my glove box. I used that camera to film my content, and the SD card that was in there had all my unreleased photos and videos. I know they stole it just for the SD card. Anyways, this is where the story gets weird. This is where the story gets weird. There are cameras outside in the parking lot, so we were able to watch this person break into my car and find the camera. And they didn't touch any of the 7 other cars on the lot. They knew which car was mine, which suggests they had been watching me for a bit. After they got the camera, they walked around the duplex until stopping near my window. My bedroom faces an outside street and my blinds are broken, so it's very easy to see it. I have a curtain, but it doesn't cover my window all the way. This person watched me sleep for an hour or so. I have no idea why they didn't try to break in, but thank God they didn't. This person then sold the camera to a pawn shop, and since I knew the serial number, the police were able to find it. However, my SD card was missing. I believe the police are still trying to track them down, but I have broken my lease and moved to a new place, so hopefully that will keep me safe. If you guys are still here, thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you, and I appreciate you so, so, so very much, more than you'll ever know. Please like, subscribe, and comment. And until next time, stay safe out there.